Well, ladies and gentlemen, the extremely critical rare earths and minerals deal is expected to happen with an announcement by Donald Trump tonight during the joint session addressed to America. You can see this came out earlier. Zelensky saying that he still wants a deal, pleading and talking about the meeting in Washington and the White House not going the way that he wanted, and it was supposed to be different, talking about how it's time to make things right. He wants future cooperation and communication as well. And of course, Ukraine does. They need this deal. I've been stressing to everyone, I've been saying the deal for Ukraine has to happen to give them more leverage in a negotiation and also possibly security if the United States is tethered to Ukraine to be able to extract the minerals. And how much will it be? We don't know. I've speculated maybe there was a renegotiation depending on what the deal was supposed to be on Friday, because that was going to get signed. People are like, oh, it's an ambush. No, it was going to get signed. They were going to do it. They set it all up. They were going to go to a different room in the East Room in the White House, and it didn't end up happening because of the spat between Zelensky, Trump, and Vance. And so it might be the same deal. It might not. There might be less assurances from the United States in terms of protection, but this is something that we think is going to happen because the reports say Trump and Zelensky plan to sign the Ukrainian mineral deal today. Trump is announcing the details during the address tonight. And so you can see we're finally getting our money back. Well, it's a mineral extraction. It's going to take time to get the money back. And ideally for Ukraine, this would give them more security. Even though they're giving up their minerals were already not going to be extracted by themselves anytime soon because of the investment that's needed. There is some criticism to this deal because it does tether the U.S. to Ukraine for the foreseeable future, but it's an olive branch to where it's like for Ukraine, yeah, we have to pay this back and we don't want to give up our minerals, but we want the protection from the United States after the ceasefire, after the peace deal comes into place, the protection from the idea that Russia could potentially launch a reinvasion. But what will the deal officially be? What are the assurances from Donald Trump and the United States to Ukraine? Remember the vague security assurances that Zelensky wanted. What are the details? What is the total amount in terms of money, mineral worth, I should say, that the United States will be getting? I mean, it's like 300 billion, 100 billion. Trump saying like up to $1 trillion. We'll see what happens. Where does this put the United States in terms of their deal with Russia? Is it a 2-for-1? Is there also a Russian mineral deal that will be happening as well? We don't know that. But what we do know is no matter what, Zelensky was going to have to bend the knee. Even if he thought he was right, it doesn't matter. You are in a position to where you must have U.S. support. And that's why I think there potentially was a renegotiation, because Trump realized he could squeeze Zelensky even easier for more and maybe less security assurances in the future, because Ukraine has such limited leverage because of where they're at right now in terms of this war. And still, even though the European countries support Ukraine because they're afraid of Russia, they are not willing to send their troops to fight in Ukraine for Ukraine against Russia. They're sending troops for security during the negotiation. That's my opinion. And so this deal is happening. Let's take a look at this. We've got the deal right here, the odds. You can see what happened. This was the morning of when the deal was supposed to happen. And yeah, this completely fell off a cliff in terms of the chance. It was at a 98% chance. Now it's up to a 95% chance. And so this is agreed to a mineral deal before April. So that's very likely going to be happening by tonight, with the details announced tonight by Trump in some capacity. And then the official details probably going to be broken on X and other platforms on what the full deal will be in terms of the security, in terms of I don't know if we're probably not going to get the Russian dynamic of this, which would be how much land are they getting. This is going to be more so US will be getting X amount of minerals, maybe by a certain date. What will the investment into the area be in terms of infrastructure to be able to extract these minerals? And really, will there be other European countries helping the U.S. with this mineral extraction? And so this is all very critical. But yes, Trump is getting the U.S. their money back. We should be thankful. This is a good thing. But it does, and honestly, for Ukraine, people think, well, it's for them, Trump's greedy. I mean, this is you're talking about the United States being tied to this area. By default, that's good for Ukraine, you would think, because the U.S. wants to secure their minerals and the worth of those minerals. And so the U.S. wouldn't, hypothetically not want Russia to reinvade. Although, if Trump has a good relationship with Putin, the dynamic might be a little bit different there, especially if they end up doing a military deal or a mineral deal with Putin anyways. And so we'll have to see what the deal ends up being, but this is just where we're at right now. The U.S. and Ukraine will be doing a minerals deal. There might have been a renegotiation in between the Friday D.C. meeting that was a blow up, and Zelensky being Rubio went to him. He's like, "You need to leave. You need to go." So he got kicked out, and Trump said it was very disrespectful. Zelensky immediately apologized and said, "We need this deal, please." He said it like 5 straight days. And now the deal is getting done, and we are headed to peace negotiations. We're headed to a ceasefire and then peace negotiations. So this is good news. Let's see the details of this deal in terms of how the extraction process is going to work with these minerals, as well as some of the European countries and what they're going to be doing. Because maybe you get some of the European countries to extract them, or at least get help with it. And I would assume if the United States right now, you've got reports, it's 120 billion we've sent, it's 150 billion. I would expect the deal to yield a significant price tag, whether it's 150 billion in minerals, 300 billion in minerals. The cost of extraction is also going to be factored in as well, I'm sure, for the US. And so those are the type of things that are going to be worked out, and the details on that are going to come, we believe, tonight. At least this is what's being reported. So this is the next step to a ceasefire and a peace deal with Russia and Ukraine. Trump is right now, it's the building blocks, it's the building stage. This is how these negotiations happen. When you're a moderator, you have to have agreements with both countries. So that's why Trump's got a decent relationship now with Russia. He's mended that. They've tried triggering him. They say he's a Russian agent. It's totally false. They're jealous he's getting world peace. And so this is all part of this. And now Trump is like, listen, I don't love Russia. I don't love Ukraine. I'm trying to just do the deal here and be the middleman. And so we have to have agreements with both of these countries. So you know what? It's good for Ukraine. We're going to be in the region for the future. It's good for us. We're going to be getting our money back. You could argue maybe we should not accept any mineral deal and just say, you know what? We want to get out of Ukraine. But I understand the argument. It just depends, what are the assurances? Because hypothetically, if we have a mineral deal with both Russia and Ukraine, like a 2-for-1, and then Russia decides to invade, are we really going to fight the Russians? Because people are like, well, if you have a mineral deal with Ukraine, you're tethered to that area. You have to protect it. Do they really? If we also have a mineral deal with Russia, I'm not sure on that. That's why there still might be a mineral deal with Russia. But these are all rare earths. These are all needed for us. It's important with the car batteries and cell phones and things like that. So this is big stuff. And this is just what has to happen. And I said Zelensky he had no choice. You have no choice. You go into a negotiating period with Russia without the United States on your side backing you to a degree, you've got no leverage. You're going to have to give up so much. You're not going to get anything in return. Now Ukraine is in a little bit better position because they have Europe. And to a degree, the United States, the mineral deal does include more funding for Ukraine. That's just the way it is. And not that it really matters, because the deal is not for more funding so the war can continue. The deal is for negotiation leverage to say we still have the United States backing us, at least to a degree, in terms of if we get screwed, if Ukraine gets screwed in negotiations and Russia just will not compromise, Ukraine could say, we're not doing that. We still have the United States giving us money to continue this war, rather than, well, we've got no support. We have to accept any deal with Russia no matter what. Even though the United States at this point, they are the middleman. They're having cooperation with Russia and Ukraine to be able to end this. Unlike Europe, which is very pro-Ukraine, it's hard to do a negotiation when you've got something like that, and normally that leads to a reinvasion. But with the United States now, you can limit the potential of a reinvasion if you have a good relationship with Russia, and if you have an economic deal with Russia, it would deter a potential reinvasion of Russia into Ukraine. They're going to annex a fifth of the country, or maybe like a sixth. I don't know, but that's just the situation. So Trump having his big speech tonight, addressing the country, and certainly it's been Trump is very excited to do this. It's been extremely historic. independents left and right are saying this is crazy. This is one of the best administrations we've seen in, I mean, since a lot of these people have been alive. Like the stuff that Trump has gotten done and the foresight with the tariffs and everything, and so many independent people are like, we used to be liberals. They hate the country so much and they want to see the country fail and they want to see it get overrun by third world immigration. And so many just normal, good hearted, independent people are like, we don't like that. We like Trump. He stood up for us against Zelensky. This is big. This is important for the future of the country. And so Trump is going to talk about the revival of patriotism within the United States tonight. And he's got so many wins. And he's got like a 65% approval rating when you adjust it for the correct polls, because they're manipulating a lot of the polls. I mean, in the economy, in like a year and a half, 2 years, economists say it's going to be amazing. So guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.